So when I'm making these panels, the first thing I got to do is take the mold and warm it up. I got a small toaster oven here in the shop. Nothing real fancy, just something you buy. I bought it at Ollie's for like 20 bucks. And I preheat my mold. This is the mold that I made. Pull it up here, I'll show you. There's one half of it right here, and the other half is right down here. And put it in the toaster oven, and I warm it up for about, I don't know, 20 minutes or so on about 250 degrees just to kind of preheat it. It seems like the two-part plastic will flow a little bit better when the silicone is preheated. The plastic that I'm using is Smooth On, and it is called Crystal Clear 202, and it's for making plastic stuff up to a 1/2 inch thick. And that's what I'm making these panels out of. Pretty easy to make, pretty straightforward. I've got a scale I use for measuring this stuff. And after I mix the two chemicals together, I stir it for about 1.5 minutes. And after I stir it, I take it over to my degasser and degas it. When I'm degassing this stuff, I monitor it for bubbles. I've got a plexiglass lid. When I put it over the chamber, I can just look down in it and I can see bubbles in it as the two-part plastic cures. And what I found is that I can degas it for about 4 minutes at 26 inches of mercury, and that seems to do a pretty good job about getting the majority of the bubbles out of it. After I degas it, I'm ready to put it in the mold. What I'm doing is just pouring in the mold at the lowest point and letting it fill up. What I'm doing after that is actually kind of neat. I bought what's called a pressure pot. Oh, it's kind of like an autoclave without the heat. And this is what it looks like. This is my pressure pot, and it has a pressure regulator. I hook an air source to it, and I adjust it where I get 60 PSI max on this gauge. And all this is literally just a tank. That's the bottom of the lid. What the positive pressure does is it keeps those microscopic bubbles small and actually puts pressure on them so they could potentially get smaller. That's what this does, and without that, your parts will appear bubbly. Once they come out of the pressure pot, I put them back in the oven and I warm them back up again to about 150 degrees for about 2 hours or so. And that seems to set the plastic, make the plastic a little harder. I have a few things I got to check. There it goes. I check to make sure that each one of these little nubs, if you look right here, are on each corner, which they are on this one, so that's a good thing. Also, just check for flatness, make sure they lay flat. Checking for bubbles, which this seems to be pretty bubble free. I'll wipe this down, I'll get all this flashing cleaned out, drill these holes out, and this one will be ready to go as well. This is the original. You can see that it's painted. And this is one of the ones that I've made. So when it's mounted in the car, I'll show you with the original. This is the graphic that goes over top, and it is the fan speed, the temperature, and the air direction. The two holes at the top on the left and right are for the headlights and the hazard lights.